Hey everybody, how are you doing today? Great to hear, just like always. Today I wanted to do a quick little tier list on one of my favorite duos from the 2000s to the 2010s, that being MGMT. I've been a big fan of their work ever since I would say about Little Dark Age when that came out. I went back and listened to all their albums previously. I was super stoked for Loss of Life, which came out this year, and I wanted to do a tier list on them today. So that's what I figured we'd do. Their discography is a bit shorter, and there's some records where I don't have a ton to say compared to others, but I figured it'd just be a fun little list to do. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, starting with their debut from 2007, Oracular Spectacular. If you want to think about dance albums from the late 2000s, 2010s, this is up there. There are some really well-known songs on here, and for good reason, because the well-known songs on this thing are freaking amazing. I love Time to Pretend, the opener. I love it. It's one of my favorite songs of the 2000s, in all honesty. It is my favorite on the record by far. And that's saying a lot because I like a lot of this album. But Time to Pretend is just such a fun song. I love the concept of it, talking about like, oh hey, let's just pretend like we're going to be in this completely different world, but, you know, we're not actually. I love the do 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 do. You know, that hook is absolutely amazing. I love the production on this thing. I love the production on the whole album. So I'm gonna stop gushing about just Time to Pretend. Let's talk about the whole album. You also have Electric Feel, which is so damn groovy with the hit me with your electric feel. Oh, it's just great, 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 great. You've got The Youth, which is amazing. You've got Kids, which is the third really big, well-known track off of here. Also awesome. Fourth Dimensional Transition. Awesome. Of Moons, Birds, and Monsters. Excellent. The Handshake. Excellent as well. And Closer Future Reflections, also excellent. Really, almost excellent front to back, almost. But I do have some issues. I have never been a fan of Weekend Wars. I don't like the way that Andrew sings on it. I know, which might be a surprise to people. But I'm just not a fan of the way he sings. I really am not. I'm not a fan of the track as a whole. I just don't like it. Doesn't have as much energy to me. And then Pieces of What has never done anything for me. But besides those two tracks, it's nothing but absolute jams on this album. It is a fantastic way to start their discography, if you ask me. And I think that it basically laid the groundwork for where they would go, both in sound and in style. And that is why I think it's safe to put it at an A. I think an A is the perfect spot because it's a really good record. I highly recommend it to anybody interested in getting into MGMT or is into them and hasn't heard this. It is one of my favorite albums from them, and that's saying a lot because I love this group, or this duo. And yeah, I just highly recommend it. I think it is an album that anyone interested in like the electronic, electro rock genre, stuff like that, should check out. But yeah. Next up, we have Congratulations from 2010. It is absolutely insane to think that that was 14 years ago now, because I remember that was like I was yesterday. Jesus. But yeah, congratulations, sophomore album from the group. A bit shorter, being 9 tracks instead of 11 like the last one. But I think that they cut some of the parts where there could have been filler, like on the last album. There being 2 songs that weren't great in my opinion. And from front to back, this thing is damn amazing. I love the opener, It's Working. I love the how will I know if it's working? Just like sounds super like ambient and just really interesting. You have Flash Delirium, which is probably the most well-known song on here. Good as well. I Found a Whistle is pretty decent. Someone's Missing is decent. Siberian Breaks is their longest song, and it's freaking awesome. You've got Brian Eno, which is probably in my top 5 MGMT songs to sing along to, and it's probably in my top 15 songs that they've ever made. Somewhere around there, like somewhere in that ballpark. It's just so fun. The What Does He Know? Brian Eno! God, I love that. I love to sing along to that shit, and I love the outro to the song. It's really cool. And then you have Congratulations, which is great as well. And while I did say that this thing is pretty awesome front to back, that doesn't mean that there are some songs that aren't as good as the others, such as Someone's Missing, I Found a Whistle, and Lady Dada's Nightmare. I don't know why it's called that. It's just a quirky little instrumental, which is actually, funnily enough, I believe the same length as Brian Eno. I think they're both 4.5 minutes long, equally exact. Which is that's a pretty cool little tidbit there. But yeah, I wouldn't say this is a step up from their debut. I don't think I'd say it's a step up. I would say it's about on par with their debut. But it's hard because, like, Brian Eno is the only track on here that I would say is on par with Electric Feel Kids and Time to Pretend, as well as Of Birds, Moons, and Monsters. I think that's the only song that's like on that level, and then It's Working is also fantastic. Flash Delirium's great, Siberian Breaks is great, but like, I just don't think it has as many high points, but I think it's a lot more consistent in quality, I would say. So I think that it also deserves an A tier. It's a pretty damn good record. I'd say it's probably about an 8 out of 10, maybe like a 7.8. Like, it's close to being an 8 out of 10. But it's pretty good record. I listened to it quite a bit. Like I said, I cannot get Brian Eno out of my head. Jesus Christ, that is such a catchy song. But I highly recommend it. I think that it was a good sophomore album from the group, and they would only go up from here. Well, actually, never mind. I lied, because they will not go up from here. In fact, they will go down for a small period, and that is where their self-titled third album comes in, MGMT. This little record right here. I think a lot of people will agree with me that this is their weakest main album, their weakest studio record, for pretty obvious reasons. I just think that the songwriting on here isn't as interesting. I just think there's some lackluster tunes on it. I just think that there's not as much energy as there is on their previous 2 albums. And even the high points aren't as high as the previous 2. And don't get me wrong, there are high points. Alien Days is awesome. Cool Song Number 2 is great. Introspection is really good. Astromancy is good. Let's see, I Love You Too, Death. That one's really good. But the rest of them just don't really do much for me, besides Mystery Disease. That's another one I forgot. But like Your Life is a Lie doesn't really do anything for me. A Good Sadness is just kind of meh to me. Plenty of Girls in the Sea is okay. And then An Orphan of Fortune is an okay closer, but I don't think it's anywhere near their best closer. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a huge drop. Like, it's not a bad album. There are definitely high points, but the high points aren't as high, and there are a lot more low points for me. I also just think that it's their least creative with its sound. I just think the production on here isn't as interesting as it is on their previous 2 or their next 2 that would come along. So kind of a lackluster record. I'd probably put it in the C tier, I would say. Yeah, just not really one that I return to much, in all honesty. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to Little Dark Age. This is, of course, like I said at the beginning, an album that got me into the group, and I have been a fan ever since this thing released. And holy shit, this album is fucking amazing. This album is amazing. To me personally, this is their best album. I think that production-wise, this is the best they have ever sounded. I think that this thing is so lush, so like beautiful sounding but so electronic and weird at the same time. I think that tracklist wise we pretty much have nothing but jams. I would say that there's only one on this whole thing that is not one that I revisit too often. But I mean, God, oh my God, like you have the opener She Works Out Too Much, which has a fantastic hook. The "She works out too much. The only reason it didn't work out was," that part right there. I mean, it's just it's impossible not to sing along. The whole thing sounds great. It's a great way to start the album. I love how it has like the gym workout girl like speaking through the record, not through the record, through the song. That's really creative. Little Dark Age, which is their most popular song, I would say. Um, it's absolutely breathtaking. It's in my top 10 songs of the 2010s for sure. It would probably be at like number 10 or number 9, but oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I can't praise it enough. I love the electronic sound of it. I love the synths. I love the chorus. The chorus is one of the best choruses they've ever written. It's so amazing. I love the outro. It almost brings a tear to my eye with how beautiful it is, honestly. But yeah, I cannot praise that track enough. It is absolutely incredible, just like Time to Pretend from the decade before. Next up is When You Die, which I think is one of their most underrated songs. I wouldn't even say it's not popular, but I think that it should be more known because it really is amazing. I just love the plucky guitars on here. I love that. I love the way that he says "Go fuck yourself." I know that's like a weird thing to like, but I just really like the way he says it. And besides for the final track, it's the only time they swear on the whole record, and it's like so out of nowhere, but in a good way. You have Me and Michael, which is a really sweet track. Again, I love I don't know if it's the keys on that, the do 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 do. That part, I love that melody. It's very very pretty. The whole song is great. I love the whoas on the choruses. Yeah, just another fantastic song. T-Slamp. Again, love the chorus. I love the abbreviation for "time spent looking at my phone." That's just a jam. You've got James, which is probably my second least favorite, but that's not saying much. Still pretty good. One Thing Left to Try is an absolute jam. It's an absolute bop, as people say nowadays. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I just love listening to that song. You've got When You're Small, which is amazing as well. Just like a shorter little eerie sounding eerie sounding track, and then Hand It Over, which is also just beautiful, just a beautiful song. The only one on here I'm not a big fan of is Days That Got Away. I just don't really think it goes anywhere, and it's just not as interesting to me. But besides for that, we have nothing but 8s to 10s all around. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10, just because I do think James and Days That Got Away hold it back a little bit, but this is a strong 9 for me. I think that this album is amazing. I think it is their best work, not to mention that the cover is freaking awesome. And it's just fantastic in my opinion from start to finish. I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't heard it, but I do think that this is their best-selling album, so I highly doubt that anyone who knows the band doesn't know it. But in case you haven't, it is a must-listen. I do truly believe that. And if you don't feel like listening to the whole thing, definitely give Little Dark Age, the song, a listen. It is an absolute fantastic track. Alright, so I forgot this was on here. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember much of anything from this live album. So I'm debating on if I should rank it or not. You know what? I'm just gonna say right now, I don't remember much because it was boring as hell. I really am not a fan. I'm just gonna throw that in the C tier. It really shouldn't count for the sake of this list. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Oh, didn't mean to do that either. Alright, we'll just leave it there for now. But yeah, this is just nah. It's just an okay live album. Not really anything special. But then we get this bad boy, Loss of Life, from this year, 2024. Oh, this album is amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Not quite as good as Little Dark Age, but it's like by a smidge of a hair. Like they're so close in quality. For completely different reasons, because Loss of Life sounds entirely different from Little Dark Age. Entirely different. I remember how freaking excited I was to finally play this, and I was begging my girlfriend. I was like, "Hey, we gotta listen to some of these new tracks in the car." Because we were going on a long car ride or something, and she was like, "Oh, okay," because she had never heard of the group, and I was playing Mother Nature, I was playing, Bubblegum Dog, and I was just playing a whole bunch of them, and she was just like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, "It's MGMT, baby. It's just some good old classic, well, not good old classic, but some new classic MGMT." And yeah, I do think that this is a modern classic for the group. I think that this is a excellent return from them, because there was a pretty long hiatus between these two of 6 years, which besides for their first two, they did have a pretty decent gap between records. I believe that there was a 3-year gap between Congratulations and their self-titled, and I think there was a 5-year gap between their self-titled and Little Dark Age, and I think it was a 6-year gap from Little Dark Age to this. So they started having some pretty big gaps, but well worth the wait. Well worth the wait. I could wait another 6 years if I get another record after this as quality as these past two have been. Because I think that besides for their self-titled, they've just gotten better and better, on all honesty. But yeah, going over the track list, you have the opener, Loss of Life, just a cute little short track. Mother Nature, which is a fantastic single, and I love the melody on it. Dancing in Babylon, which is great. There's People in the Streets, great song as well. Bubblegum Dog, which is one of the sillier songs, of course, you can tell by the name. But the way it is of the bubblegum dog is finally taking on me. It's just I love the way he sings on that. You've got Nothing to Declare, great song as well. Nothing Changes, which is a top 10 NGMT song for me now. I listen to it all the time. I love how beautiful Frady's song is. I listen to that one all the time. I love the chimes on it, and I love the whistles. It just sounds very beautiful. I Wish I Was Joking is excellent. And then you've got the closer, Loss of Life, which is also excellent. Excellent way to close the record. I think from front to back, this thing is pretty much perfect. It's not perfect. I will say that I'm not a huge fan of the opener or of Dancing in Babylon. I think those two are my least favorite, but that's not saying anything. I still think they're great songs. I just don't think that they are my favorites. And I do think that they hold that back from being a 10. And I would say this is another 9. I would say, like, it's definitely going right up there. Oh, I guess we're frozen here. There we go. Alright. There we go. It finally got up to an S tier. I would put this right behind Little Dark Age. I think that the two are pretty close in quality. I think Little Dark Age has it a smidge of a bit higher. But both of these are great. Great all around. I highly recommend them. And yeah, I just think that they're good. So yeah, I believe that is going to conclude the tier list here. It looks a little goofy because there's a big gap, because I don't think they have any B tiers. I think that these 4 albums are amazing, great work that should be checked out. And then I think that their self-titled is... should I put it in a... No, I'm not going to put it in a B. So yeah, there's just going to be this goofy little looking gap right here. But it just shows like their self-titled is just definitely their weakest, and I don't really care much for the live record. But yeah, I would say overall MGMT have an incredible discography for how short it is, only being 5 albums at this point, 6 if you include their live album. But for how short it is, I mean, 4 of the 5 are an A or an S or high, like an A or higher. So like that just shows you the quality of the two's work, and I am absolutely stoked to see what they make next, because I've loved so much of their material. I've been listening to it a ton. They're one of my most listened to groups as of recent, I've just been listening to the shit out of Loss of Life. I think it's great. And yeah, I just cannot wait to see where they go next. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you disagree with any of these picks, make sure to drop a comment. I would love to see what you all have to say, just like usual. If you liked it, leave a like. And if you disagree with me, feel free to leave a dislike. It's all up to you. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and you all have a wonderful rest of your day.